You are listening to a broadcast live from Guerneville, California. My name is Laura Mueller, and the title, as you can see, is Belgium 1944, Love, Bud. Bud was my father, Lawrence Frederick Mueller, and he was a soldier in the Second World War, and he wrote several letters to his dear Aunt Mary in Pasadena, California, from Belgium, and in the fall of 1944 and early 1945, before the end of the war. I've already shared one letter under Laura Mueller's broadcast name, but I'd like to share a few more. And it is literally just a reading of letters from my father to his Aunt Mary. So I'm going to do it chronologically. We have one from September 4th, 1944, and the place where he was writing this is cut out, literally removed from the paper, because the location the danger of it being disclosed it was an issue, of course. So, hi there, plump one. Yes, I received that delicious gooey mess you mentioned, and although some of it was in just that condition, most of it was in good shape. However, it was all good, and the walnut stuff and fudge were particularly good. As of now, I am requesting an encore. Thank you. There really isn't anything else you could send unless it be something small in way of reading material. Although we have little time for it, occasionally there are times when we wish we had something other than war news and phony editorials and blah blah from the home front. Hadn't heard about Elmer being in serious condition. I expected it though to be, as he was in none too good shape when I had furlough. Hope he's okay. Best to him and Nora. And tell them I'll write as soon as Mom sends me address. I've lost it. The address. Yes, I'd like that ring you mentioned. Sounds wonderful. Never was much in that stuff, but I think I'd like. Can remember only two rings I ever liked. One was the opal you had, the other a beautiful star sapphire. Also, what have you been doing for some time besides going to Redondo and making lapidarists run wild and sending nephews gooey messes? I promise not to tell my independent one. There are so many things I'd like to say that will have to wait till I see you again, such as how these people treat us liberators. I've kissed and been embraced by 1 to 81 and drank everything from a poor cider to cognac and champagne. And so that is just that one piece of the September 4th, 1944 letter. And it's, of course, it's Love, Bud. The second letter is, here's the second page of that, I'm sorry. The conclusion of the September 4th letter. Need I say I'd prefer a United States chocolate milkshake. It's all very gratifying, but nothing can compensate for the time wasted. As for my spoiled light of my life, so what? So she's spoiled. If necessary, she can become unspoiled, and besides, sometimes it's becoming. You realize, of course, you are treading on delicate ground so far as Mom and Ben are concerned in that matter. By that I mean I don't think they appreciate your comments as to their methods with children. I'll grant a little agitation on your part wouldn't hurt, but why involve yourself in a squabble? Besides, it wouldn't do much good anyway, or anyhow. My squad and I, and a motley crew, too, send affectionate regards, and thanks again for the gooey mess, and look forward to next. Hope to hear from you soon, and will keep my eye peeled for unusual stones, if you like, although my only previous experience with them has been making little ones from big ones and picking them out of my hair and eyes. Best ever, and love from your number one fan, Buddy Q. Mueller-Nagel. They had a very affectionate relationship, obviously, and she was his favorite person in the world until he married my mother. She was an artist and lapidarist who lived in Pasadena for many years. The next letter is also from the fall of 44. November 15th, where the Rhine winds. Dear Aunt Mary, or Good Morning Toots in any language. It strikes me suddenly that I have something to say, so here are a few lines from your number one fan this damp November morning. It snowed early, and there is a thin blanket of the gray-white that softens the grimness of this shell-torn, war-pocked hunk of Hitler heaven. Our setting is most unreal and impossible to imagine. 2 of us are writing, a couple reading, 3 more discussing unconditional surrender and legal prostitution. Another is playing a battered phonograph. At present, strains of a beautiful tango, played by a German orchestra, have the attention of most of us. The cow barn is genuine, for even now there are still evidences of the bovine creatures we evicted to make room for ourselves. After all, when one's only choice is between a muddy foxhole and any construction that will afford protection from those occasional outbursts, sometimes slightly more than occasional, by the enemy that punctuate and puncture, too, our dreams of post-war days, we often, as now, find ourselves in unique surroundings. Quite a mixed group, too. A little sergeant from the south side of Chicago, first aid man from West Virginia, 2 or 3 from Massachusetts, quiet, slim guy from Tennessee, smart, wholesome lad from a small town in Indiana, Russian from 15 cents this side of New York City. Suddenly occurs that I miss lots of things. Strange, huh? With holidays coming up. I remember once a long time ago when we were very young, and Arthur was your beau, and Ben was courting Mom, and we made Christmas pastry and candy, and ate most of it in the making. Also remember a visit at your request I make to see a Polish doctor and his lovely wife, who were just getting used to a new baby. Remember how impressed I was by their beautiful apartment, and how gracious she was. How amused she must have been by my intense little boy seriousness. It was snowing then, too. I hope Carl and his gal have a nice kid. Still can't believe he's grown up, married, and a pappy to be. Sure miss my Martha J. She'll be quite the young lady when I see her again. She better be. More later. Take good care of yourself, and happy holidays. Best to everyone, and a special best to you. Love, Bud. P.S. Just for the hell of it, how about some pictures and stuff of you? P.S.S. Pretty good letter for one who's just been reduced to grade of private. 3360 difference, Goldstein. From Sergeant. Oh well, as they say in Mudville, and Company A of the 8th, c'est la guerre, which means you know my life is sad too. We do have our ups and downs, don't we? Be seeing you. Now my dad, Bud, Lawrence Frederick Mueller, grew up in the south side of Chicago, on the south side of Chicago, and remembers very fondly, or he told stories, when we were young, about traveling from Chicago to Pasadena with his Aunt Mary in a Model A Ford, and he was 10, and it was a memorable experience like most road trips across the country are. And just to fill you in a little bit, Martha J., who he mentions, is his half-sister, his younger sister, and Ben was his stepfather. His father died in an accident. He was a window washer in Chicago and fell to his death when my father was 6. So his mother was single for a few years, and then Ben came courting, as he said, and they were married when my father was 11. So I am sharing some letters from my dad. He was 25 when he was writing. When he was in Belgium at 44, he was 25 years old, and I was the fortunate recipient and fortunate one of the children to inherit these 9 letters. I find them very special, and I've always been impressed with his writing. So anyway, here is the third one of the day. Maybe a shorter broadcast today, but these are the 3 that I want to read today. This is Christmas +1. Work is not done. Fun's more fun. Not so the Hun. He was always goofing with her. Dear Mary, at a time when I was really burned out on this here now war, I came upon something to take my poor tired brain and spirit and give them a good shot. It was a pocket edition of A Treasury of the World's Great Letters by M.L. Schuster. I'm still reading it and enjoying it more than I can tell. I'll quote from the preface, quote, "The most interesting letters of all time, the crucial and characteristic private communications of the foremost people of the world, of world history, ranging from Alexander the Great and St. Paul the Apostle to George Bernard Shaw and Thomas Mann. Hope you had a good holiday, and very best to Nora and Elmer. I'm still looking for mail from you all, and in the meanwhile, we'll write when able. These cold, clear days and nights we've been having are nice for war, nice for peace, and much nicer if you're 4F. Have 3 beautiful little hand-carved ivory statuettes. Won't describe them, but I'm going to try and send them home. You will see. I also have some other little souvenirs of Rhineland, which I shall try to get home to each of you. Forgive me for closing abruptly. See you soon. Love, Bud." He did send a couple of things back. He had created a box with a false bottom and put in the ivory statuettes and blue sapphire. He had mentioned in one of the earlier letters a blue sapphire and a couple of diamonds. And the story as to how they came upon these treasures is somewhat disturbing to me, this generation beyond all that. I guess as the rumor is, or the legend, I guess, is that the bank in Cologne was bombed, and some fellas broke into the safety deposit boxes, got a few things. So anyway, it was a strange time, and I don't know where ethics are. Well, I don't know. All is fair in love and war, I guess. I don't think that's true, but anyway. So those are that's the installment for today of letters from Lawrence Frederick Mueller, Master Sergeant, stationed in Belgium in 1944. So that's it for me today. I will be back another time. Look forward to more. Love, Bud.